I'm a bad motherfucker.
Right now, our last Israel story of the day and last story of the day. Scandal. Israeli dossier proves no evidence for claims against UNRWA staff. And this is from Common Dreams, an outlet that you should support if you can. An Israeli dossier that more than a dozen countries have cited to justify cutting off funding to the United Nations Palestinian Refugee Agency provides no evidence that a small number of the key UN aid body's employees were involved in the October 7th Hamas-led attack, according to an investigation released Monday by the British outlet Channel 4. Okay, so it was bad enough that they were accusing 9 people and defunding the main relief agency providing food and shelter aid to Palestinians in the middle of a humanitarian crisis. It was bad enough they were holding an entire agency of 13,000 people in Gaza accountable for the actions of 9. Now it turns out the accusations themselves are spurious.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me spam it with heart emojis.
Yes. The dossier merely states that, quote, from intelligence information, documents, and identity cards seized during the course of the fighting, it is now possible to flag around 190 Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorist operatives who serve as UNRWA employees. More than 10 UNRWA staffers took part in the events of October 7th, reads the 6-page dossier, which Israel provided to UNRWA donor countries, including the agency's top contributor, the United States, shortly after the International Court of Justice handed down an interim decision ordering Israel to take concrete steps to prevent genocide in the Gaza Strip, which was purely a coincidence, by the way. It was purely a coincidence. So I want you to really think about the implications of this. Right at the moment that the ICJ demanded that Israel take steps to ensure the prevention of genocide, they moved to disable and neutralize the main agency providing aids to the Palestinians in order to make it this is my interpretation, in order to make it logistically impossible to prevent genocide through that agency.
Because they're moral. They're the most moral army on the planet.
Like that
no, that's
is
exactly right.
They didn't want their
blame UNRWA so that when they don't prevent the genocide, they could say, well, we wanted to, but turns out this agency, this aid agency was compromised, and so we had to get them in trouble. Therefore, it's their fault.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Listen, I don't remember in the Bible.
That is how sick and genocidal and just frankly evil the Israeli government is.
You show me
the ICJ demanded they prevent genocide, and they took steps to ensure they could continue it and blame an outside factor for it.
Well, I mean, they also, think of how they betrayed Mossad hero Jeffrey Epstein in the end. Basically spitting on his sacrifice.
Right.
The things he did to help Israel.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they don't even, I understand they're putting a statue of him in Tel Aviv, right on MLK Street that they have there, MLK Boulevard. They're going to put another martyr to
Ghislaine's dad's way.
Yeah. You know where I went last night? I just so happened, I hadn't intended, but it was the closest one. You know, I like In-N-Out burgers.
Mm-hmm.
People of good conscience can disagree, but I love the In-N-Out burgers. And so, it was my last night that I was going to get to be out and about. Tonight I'll just be getting ready to leave tomorrow. And so, I Googled where the nearest In-N-Out was, and it happened to be the Ghislaine Maxwell In-N-Out burger.
That's historic.
It was the one that they photographed her.
I made a plaque. I mean, they keep trying to take it down, but I support Israel, and you know what? Well, there's a lot of heroes that don't get enough credit. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein,
it's like we always say. Not all heroes fly the Lolita Express.
Not all heroes don't have a sex temple.
Yes. The ICJ, getting back to more serious matters, the ICJ instructed the Israeli government to ensure that sufficient humanitarian assistance flows to desperate and starving Gazans but Israel's allegations against UNRWA employees led at least 16 countries to suspend funding for the agency, the most critical aid body operating in the Palestinian enclave. Around 1 million displaced Gazans are currently sheltering at facilities run by UNRWA, which has 13,000 employees across the Strip. The UNRWA is reportedly set to lose $65 million by the end of February as donors' funding cuts take effect, imperiling the agency's operations in Gaza and across the Middle East. Channel 4 noted Monday that all 13,000 of UNRWA's Gaza employees' names have been checked against the UN terrorism list, and as recently as last May were vetted and approved by Israel. The Daily Beast also obtained a copy of the Israeli dossier, and similar to Channel 4, reported Tuesday that it includes little evidence to back up Israel's allegations against UNRWA employees. This is the Daily Beast, folks. This is the Daily Beast. Hardly a hotbed of left-wing radicalism. This, quote, this is the latest campaign in a decades-long attack on UNRWA by Israel and a subset of the broader campaign to eliminate the Palestinian refugee issue, said Prashar. Quote, people in Gaza are starving, and because of spurious allegations made in a dodgy dossier, they will experience worse hunger. This scandal should lead to resignations from officials in the US, UK, Germany, and elsewhere who all suspended funding to a besieged people experiencing a genocide as a result of a baseless accusation by the genocidaires themselves. I didn't even know that was a word until I read this.
It means the most moral military in the world.
It means the most moral army, but only in French.
Yeah.
During a press conference last week, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called the allegations in the dossier highly credible. This is the same dossier that the Daily Beast is saying has no credible allegations in it. The same day as Blinken's remarks, the Wall Street Journal ran a story stating that around 10% of UNRWA's Gaza employees have ties to Islamist militant groups, pointing to an intelligence dossier.
Yeah, I think that guy's a spy, by the way, that Russia has. The Wall Street Journal ran that shit. I don't believe that those are real journalists.
Well, that's only because you're a Putin puppet, Kurt.
Oh, that's true. Fair enough.
But questions about the reliability of the purported intelligence cited in the Israeli dossier have been swirling since the details of its contents began to trickle out in the press late last month. Citing one unnamed senior Israeli official, Axios reported that, quote, the intelligence is a result of interrogations of militants who were arrested during the October 7th attack.
Oh.
Israeli forces have repeatedly been accused by UN experts and human rights groups of using torture to extract forced confessions from Palestinian detainees.
Oh, that's the
only democracy in the Middle East.
The same way
only
we got
democracy.
The reliable info about those weapons and that's where we got our intelligence that Iran is behind this.
They have Ensure Ron DeSantis being flown out there to help with these interrogations. The fact that the US, UK, and several other Western governments instantly attacked UNRWA on the orders of a genocidal foreign government based on bogus claims should make you very worried about your own democracy. Craig Makaber, a former UN official who resigned over the global institution's failure to stop Israel's assault on Gaza, wrote Tuesday. And this is the man himself, that great humanitarian Antony Blinken, who completely co-signed Israel's claims based on a dossier that now the Daily Beast claims is bogus.
Antony, the president handler Blinken.
Yes.
The guy who puts peanut butter on things so Joe knows where to pick up and, lick and sniff to make it look real for the camera. Like an animal trainer.
That's how they got him out there for that press conference.
He picks up the phone. It looks like he's talking.
Okay, so the family, this is his tweet. The families in Gaza whose survival depends on deliveries of aid from Israel are just like our families. They are mothers and fathers, sons and daughters who want to earn a decent living, send their kids to school, and have a normal life. We must not lose sight of that. Well, you know, a good way to not lose sight of that would be to restore the fucking funding to UNRWA.
Do you mean I got to sit there and watch the crimes? I can't even look away?
You can't
sit there and watch it and laugh like a child.
Not only do you have to watch it, you have to fund it with your tax money. All right, so let's see Antony Blinken do his famous imitation of a person with human emotions who doesn't suffer from a sociopathic personality disorder.
Israelis were dehumanized in the most horrific way on October 7th. The hostages have been dehumanized every day since. But that cannot be a license to dehumanize others. The overwhelming majority of people in Gaza had nothing to do with the attacks of October 7th. And the families in Gaza whose survival depends on deliveries of aid from Israel are just like our families. Their mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, want to earn a decent living, send their kids to school, have a normal life.
They want to send their kids
That's who
to
they
school
are.
just like our kids.
That's like Malala?
If they had a school to go to, but turns out our allies bombed all the schools. And in fact, that's true. That was another story I saw.
Yeah.
We didn't have space for it. Every university in Gaza has now been destroyed. Every single university in Gaza.
Do you know the history when he reminds me very much of back when apartheid South Africa, when part of Israel go, we're against this, and then meanwhile they're secretly giving them the secrets of nuclear fire to protect apartheid, because that helps protect Israel's apartheid that isn't even as humane as apartheid.
Well, and I will just point out in terms of, and again, I haven't seen Putin's dissertation on Russian history, and I'm sure there are biases in it. But I'm sure a lot of it is probably accurate and corrective to the Western vision of history. Anybody who's watched me on any platform knows I am not somebody to run around championing the glories of the USSR. But at the same time, it's more complicated than what Americans understand. It was, why is South Africa refusing to join the West in condemning Russia or sanctioning Russia? Because Russia, under the USSR, fought against apartheid.
And
they
Cuba
actually stood up against the apartheid regime.
Yeah.
And who was supporting it? We were.
Yeah.
So the idea that the
And
USSR
Israel
was simply this evil empire, it's really not that simple.
Well, I hope it's not.
The ideas underlying the USSR were very noble, and in many respects, I'll be the first to say, they didn't achieve what they set out to achieve, not by a long shot, but in many areas, their animating vision of the world motivated them to side with oppressed peoples that we were complicit in oppressing. And I know people will come and say, well, what about people in the Eastern Bloc and people that felt oppressed by them? Yeah, man. Yeah, I almost married a Polish girl. They used to tell me her mother used to tell me stories about how they used to have to like listen to rock music from the West under a blanket in the basement. I get it. I'm not saying that. But the version that we get is very, very simplistic, and it doesn't take into account at all things that the USSR did that were actually very noble, and things we did during that period that I think anybody who is watching this show should know our adventures in South America and other places were going on at the same time.
You know, you're being too nice, because I don't know if you're that much of a cretin that you don't see you live in the goddamn USSR now. Are you fucking stupid?
Well, there's that.
You got a fake two fake candidates, two sides of the same shit coin. Look all around at Lahaina and East Palestine and Flint and all the places that fucking suck. What are you talking about? Oh, the USSR bad. Was it? We got a lot of their same rules, and they're getting worse.
Well, they used to talk about how the USSR, Pravda, and the state newspapers were propping up Brezhnev. How Brezhnev was, you know, not an empty suit, and his mind was gone, and he was old, and he wasn't really running things.
And then I got to take a flight on the People's Airline. the diverse people's fucking airline, and you're like, oh, the U.S. communism. What do you think you live in, morons?
Something Keaton has pointed out in the past is how much of what we're experiencing today, shortages, lines, runaway hyperinflation, are the things they told us we would get under communism.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Except we're not getting the health care. I forgot. We're not.
We don't,
we're just not getting the health care.
We don't get
we're
the
gonna
health
get
care.
the eating bugs. I can't. Are we almost done? I actually am like
We
losing
must
my
not
mind
lose
watching
sight
this
of
shit
that.
now.
We must not lose sight of our common humanity.
Oh my God! Please put a bag on your head and use it as a COVID mask.
I mean, it's just. I mean that sums it up. It's just an empty speech. At the same exact time that we're doing everything we can to show that we do not care about these people's humanity, certainly not in relation to Israel. We could end this tomorrow. Understand anything they say about, well, you know, we have to talk to Israel. Bullshit. It's total bullshit. We pick up the phone. We say aid is going to end tomorrow if you do not stop this action within the next hour. Within the next hour, Israel would be leaving Gaza.
Hey, we could fix the border today. They ain't gonna do that shit either.
Yes. I've said before, man, and whether you think it's a good idea or not a good idea, the idea that the country whose military, I believe, is 11 times larger than the next largest military, cannot seal its border, you can dismiss that out of hand. That's absurd. Of course we can seal the border. So at that point, you got to ask why we don't do it. Who does it benefit? Who benefits? Keaton, you have anything?
Well, I mean, I would just guarantee that, you know, no one in our government actually examines any quote unquote evidence that Israel had when they made that complaint. They say, oh, it's very anti-Semitic. Bullshit. They didn't look at it. Of course they didn't look at it. They just said, oh, okay, you need us to, you know, toe this line. Of course, yes, we will, because that's what we always do. And so, look, it seems like nothing Israel says ever checks out. How about that? Right? Nothing. And,
right.
you know, people.
But if you don't believe their claims, you're anti-Semitic.
Look up USS Liberty and want to talk about some claims not checking out.
Well, you want to talk about, look, I mean, the comparisons between October 7th and 9/11. I said about 9/11, you know, in the years following, they've lied about everything since 9/11. So what makes you think they didn't lie about 9/11 itself?
Wait,
right?
9/11? That's our January 6th.
Same thing here. They've lied about everything since October 7th. So what makes you think they didn't lie about October 7th?
Hang on,
I'm going to do this for Jimmy's editor.
Oh, I got it. Just let me finish. I got it. I got it covered. Don't worry. I know the rules very well. And I was just about to say, I am not denying that people were killed or hurt on October 7th. I'm not denying a violent event. I'm just saying, when you look at what Israel knew prior, right, that is a question you have to ask.
Fair enough. Although, as everybody knows, 9/11 was safe and effective. The attack was safe and effective. Our response was safe and effective as well. All right. I think that closes it out, except for Super Chats. I just want to say sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, I will be back in April, but it'll be a couple months. I want to thank everybody, Jimmy, Steph, Misha, Kurt, Malcolm, Andrew, Chris. Everyone has been so incredibly kind and welcoming. And especially, I want to thank the Jimmy Dore audience. I know you're coming over here to see Jimmy Dore. You're not coming over here to see my ugly mug, as spectacular as my T-shirts are. But the audience has been so incredibly warm and welcoming as well. It's just been a great experience. And I can't thank everybody enough. So try to keep your heads above water, and hopefully we do not meet again under circumstances of World War III. Hopefully it holds off through the beginning of April.
I hope so.
Oh, Kurt, your TV show with Louis C.K.
Yeah, what about it?
What was your experience like? We have one viewer that's really curious about that.
Oh, best production, best, most relaxed, and whatever your fantasies.
And what was the name of the show?
Horse and Pete. Whatever your fantasies of being on a production of something are, that you're going to meet some famous people and it'll be really cool. That's what it was. of anything I've ever been on, there's not a single. I can honestly tell you that was the best fucking like working environment, and on every fruity actor level of you know, you talk about your lines and what, you know. Also, Jessica Lange scared the shit out of me. No, she wasn't mean, but I was just like, you can't. It's like she's like a cat. You got to let her come to you. don't pet Jessica Lange. Tell your friend I said that.
Don't pet Jessica Lange. So this is Horace and Pete on Hulu.
Yeah.
Which Kurt says was like the best production experience.
Look, I wouldn't watch. It's like a play or something. Like I wouldn't even watch a goddamn play unless I was in it. And but being on it was amazing. And then, you know, my smarter girlfriend at the time, the Jew I was with, she understood. She understood.
We call them Jewesses.
Yeah, my Jewish girl at the time understood what it was about and explained it to me, and it actually is very, very smart. But it's awesome. I ended up getting a stalker because of one of the episodes in the beginning. See, later he started letting us make up shit to say, but in the beginning you gotta do your lines. So my lines that I did in the first couple episodes, which is not like I didn't agree with, but it's not about, you know, production. Somebody, because I'm using the name Kurt in this character,
right?
Somebody with a goddamn profound problem started stalking me and pretending to be me on Twitter. And then my Jewish girlfriend talked him down on a podcast, and he became like a big fan of it. But he had the guy was Canadian, so he got a great amount of curve. What are you gonna do?
I am just starting to get a taste of like the reality. Look, Keaton has told me since we had like 33 subscribers, 25 of which we were related to, not to mix it up with people online. And now I'm really starting to get a taste of like, yeah, I can't now. Like I have a platform, like people will stalk you and shit.
Yeah, it's not
like
just companies.
Like you're not a civilian anymore.
Nobody's want your data as well as big companies because they might be able to get a big scoop that you did a no-no on a tweets, and then you're going to have it cancel. It's dead now, thanks to Hamas.
Like you can't just jump in and comment on Facebook shit like you used to.
Nobody should be doing, honestly, why do we all have North Korea in our goddamn pocket? Anyway, I'm going to be in West Nyack.
You got a good goddamn point there.
Losing point. I'll be in West Nyack February 29th at Levity Live. Then I'm going to be at Comedy Works March 1st through 2nd. And then on March 29th through 30th, I'm going to be back at Magoobies. And that one's very important for you to come to because of the way the deal is structured.
Where is that? Magoobies? Where is that?
Magoobies.
In Maryland?
Yeah, I like Magoobies actually quite a lot.
All right, cool.
I had a shit lib get mad at me and want to fight. And I try to be very subtle with any political talk I'm trying to do comedy. I'm not like a political comedian or some shit. And even my little, where I say wearing a mask is like you're like a fat kid that wears a t-shirt in a swimming pool, which is not overly, oh my God, this guy, this bespectacled Rachel Maddow fan was furious. Like, you're a terrible person. I mean, he was like.
Okay, but doesn't that make it all worth it?
It does. I love it. I mean, the guy was hilarious. He was like Kyle's Jewish cousin from South Park, all grown up and really buying into the Maddow system. It was great.
You're terrible.
It was terrible.
It was a great time. I do that character all the time because if you live in New York, you sit in a diner, you can't get away from those fucking people.
A bunch of my friends.
What can we do about these people who love Trump? They're so. It's the education system. It really starts in the schools. We got to go.
Oh fuck, man.
Yeah,
but that's why I'm loving being out of New York right now. I'm like,
dude.
People like, you homesick? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, man?
I
haven't had to hear that person in my ear for fucking a month and a half, man. It's paradise.
Most of New York is about Howard Stern level.
It is
stupid and doesn't know shit about
but
shit.
On the other side, man, we got people like Jose. We got the other people trying to fight the power. So, when I'm back in March,
talk about white people.
I'll hook up with him.
It's about white people. I'm not the black people. I will
grant you that. All right, so we are going to go to super chats. I will stick around. We gave you like 4 hours. That is a lot of entertainment.
My girl's been
for $0.
Yes. Okay, bye, Kurt.
All right, see Kurt. Keaton, where can they find you?
Do Dissidents, YouTube and Rumble. Find us there. Thank you, guys.
All right,
brother.
Bye,
Talk
Keaton.
to you later.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
people love about you is they believe you tell it like it is.
Says it like it is. He speaks the truth.
It's about time we have a man like Trump in here. They ain't afraid to tell it like it is, man.
We like him. He tells it like it is.
He says what he means. I honestly believe he's telling the truth.
She has no natural talent to be president.
She's very talented, and she has a husband that I also like very much.
Hillary Clinton was the worst Secretary of State in the history of the United States.
Hillary Clinton, how did she do as Secretary of State? Probably above and beyond everybody else.
Let's say Hillary is president.
Hillary Clinton, I think, is a terrific woman. I think she really works hard, and I think she does a good job, and I like her. I will build the wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it, and they'll be happy to pay for it.
I'm not going to pay for that fucking wall.
This guy used a filthy, disgusting word on television, and he should be ashamed of himself, and he should apologize, okay?
Listen, you motherfuckers.
I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. We'll beat the shit out of them. Political bullshit.
You're not going to raise that fucking price, you understand?
Donald, true or false, you've said the government should pay for everyone's health care?
That's false.
You've never said that.
Everybody's got to be covered.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody.
Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side.
He said I was in favor of Libya. I never discussed that subject. I was in favor of Libya. We would be so much better off if Gaddafi were in charge right now. Gaddafi in Libya is killing thousands of people. We should go in. We should stop this guy, which would be very easy and very quick. Stop him from doing it and save these lives. They're here illegally. You take them, they have to go back.
We have to show some compassion.
Right,
we just can't throw everybody out.
They have
so you're going to split up families.
Chuck,
you're going to deport children.
Chuck, no. We're going to keep the families together. We have to keep the families together.
But you're going to keep them together out.
But they have to go.
How do you throw somebody out that's lived in this country for 20 years?
North Korea has nukes. Japan has a problem with that. I mean, they have a big problem with it. Maybe they would, in fact, be better off if they defend themselves from North Korea. Maybe we would be better off. Including with nukes. Yes, including with nukes. And they said, I want Japan to nuke. I want Japan to get nuclear weapons. Give me a break.
But if you say to Japan, yes, it's fine, you get nuclear weapons, South Korea, you as well, and Saudi Arabia says we want them too.
Can I be honest with you? It's going to happen anyway. So it's only a question of time. I'm a conservative person.
The Republicans are just too crazy right. I mean, just what's going on is just nuts.
Bush says, I do not believe he's a true conservative. These people are stupid.
Do you identify more as a Democrat or a Republican?
In many cases, I probably identify more as a Democrat.
The economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans. I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know anything about what you're even talking about with white supremacy or white supremacists.
What do you see as the biggest problem with the Reform Party right now?
Well, you've got David Duke just joined, a bigot, a racist, a problem. I mean, this is not exactly the people you want in your party. Wages too high. We're not going to be able to compete against the world. I hate to say it, but we have to leave it the way it is. I don't know how people make it on $7.25 an hour. I would like to see an increase of some magnitude.
Do you believe voters have a right to see your tax returns before they make a final decision?
I don't think they do.
If I decide to run for office, I'll produce my tax returns, absolutely.
There have been many presidents that have not shown their tax returns.
Actually, every single nominee since 1976 has released their tax
returns.
returns.
Before 1976?
Nobody was worse to women or abused women more than Bill Clinton. Look at the trouble Bill Clinton got into with something that was totally unimportant. She's married to a man who got impeached. They tried to impeach him, which was nonsense. He was impeached for lying. I'm the only one on the stage that said we should not go into Iraq.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so. I wish it was. I wish the first time it was done correctly.
Honesty, Carter once said, I'll never lie to you. Would you say that?
The American people?
I would never lie. When I'm president, I'm a different person. I can do anything. I can be the most politically correct person that you've ever seen. I can be the most politically correct person in the world. And I can be the opposite. The president has to be a great leader, and you have to lead by example.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay?
Like to punch him in the face. I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers.
Blood coming out of her, wherever.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay?
I don't know what I said. This guy will say anything.
Certain that Donald Trump has ever read outside of his own is the book of Hitler's speeches he kept next to his bed in the 1990s, according to his ex-wife. His ex-wife, he was very pissed when she released that information, okay? Because at that time he was still liberal. He didn't want people to know it at that time. Somehow she fell down the stairs and cracked her head open, right? All right, so we're going to get into this, and I'm going to show you this, all right? 92-year-old C-SPAN caller said he met Trump's father, a fan of Hitler and dictators. During C-SPAN's Washington Journal call-in segment, Pete, who identified himself as a 92-year-old from West Palm Beach, Florida, said Trump's father, Fred Trump, visited his village and was a fan of Hitler and dictators. Pete implied Trump got his views of dictators from his father. Now, keep in mind that Donald Trump was a libtard his entire life. Children are often heavily influenced by the views of their parents. Trump's father and Trump were sued for racial discrimination in housing, and Fred was once arrested at a Ku Klux Klan rally for failing to disperse. The 1927 article reporting the arrest doesn't make it clear Fred Trump's status or association with the Klan. Don't his actual loyalties to the brewing years of World War II if they happen to live in the greater New York City region. New York and its suburbs in Long Island and New Jersey had a vibrant community of first and second generation German Americans, the latter having included Fred Trump Sr., a rising star in real estate and retailing. Also active in New York, New Jersey region was the German American Bund, or Amerika Deutscher Bund, an organization that supported Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party and the goals and aspirations of the new Germany. The Bund had been created in May 1933 on the orders of German Deputy Führer Rudolf Hess. The first Bund leader was German immigrant Heinrich Heinz Spacknobel, who initially called his group the Friends of New Germany. In fact, the Bund was nothing more than an overseas extension of the German Nazi Party, and it took its orders directly from Berlin. Outside of the town in Windham, on American soil no less, right? The height of the Bund's activities was a February 20, 1930 rally at New York City's Madison Square Garden. This is the rally that I'm talking about right here, okay? This is the rally that Enlightened Master is telling you that Donald Trump's father was in, okay? Sir Norman Vincent Peale was Donald Trump's 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason pastor. This is the seal of the 33rd degree. It's also the family crest of Donald J. Trump. Okay, Albert Pike, who is the most famous Scottish Rite Freemason of all time, was the head of the Knights of the Golden Order, who later changed their name to the Ku Klux Klan. I'm going to provide it. Okay. I'm not going to be nasty to people. I'm just going to provide the information. All right, that's what I'm going to do. The elder Trump was publicly, he was even sued for it, publicly known to be a racist, and he refused to rent his apartments in Queens and Brooklyn to African Americans. Now, that must be a coincidence. In 1927, there were few organizations for far-right extremists like Fred Trump to join. One was the KKK, which had its roots in the post-Civil War Reconstruction South. Another was Italian lender Benito Mussolini's overseas Fascisti, which was primarily composed of Italian immigrants to the United States. By the early 1930s, far-right wingers in the American North were fast to embrace the Nazis, and Kunz Bund was able to ready and ready to answer the call and begin recruiting in its ranks. Fred Trump's FBI file, which includes the 1927 arrest at the KKK march, appears to be missing his pre-war and immediate post-war year activities. The file does not resume until the 1960s, when the FBI began monitoring the elder Trump's association with mafia syndicates in New York. Brother, remember I told you and I've showed you unequivocally that his brother had everything to do with the murder of and the torture of Nikola Tesla. In New York, old man Trump also suspiciously volunteered after dodging World War II draft to construct Navy barracks and garden apartments in at least 3 highly sensitive Navy ports in Chester, Pennsylvania, and Norfolk and Newport News, Virginia. Yeah, that's right. He was a draft dodger, to all you Trump dodgers out there. All 3 ports saw thousands of Americans and Canadian troops embarked for combat in North Africa and Europe. Some of these ships fell prey to German U-boats, which received intelligence on the Allied ship movements from Nazi agents in the very same port areas where old man Trump so generously bid on construction contracts with the Navy. Right here, with the Navy. Let me repeat his treason again, okay? All 3 ports saw thousands of American and Canadian troops embarked for combat in North Africa and Europe. Some of these troop ships fell prey to German U-boats. In other words, Americans got killed because of Donald Trump's father, which received intelligence on the Allied ship movements from Nazi agents in the very same port areas where old man Trump so generously bid on construction contracts with the Navy.
Trump knows just how much racial hate he stirred up in the blood parts of the folks in New York State. He drawed that colored line that we fought in the last war, and we ain't got no home in this world anymore. Beach Haven ain't my home, I just can't pay the rent.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit